From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, no one likes rules, but should we accept them to get control of this upcoming portal season? Administration angst, you folks sound off, and over-unders. Let's give away some gift cards. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com, warchantbogo, your promo code. Use that on Black Friday and order 5 or more boxes of Vitamin Energy. Send a screenshot of your order to your boy Aslan at warchant.com. I'm going to send you a free polo, Nike polo, black, dry fit, solid, Vitamin Energy Warchant branded polo coming your way. And then obviously you're going to buy one, you're going to get one free. You're going to buy 5, you're going to get at least 10 bottles. You can give them out to everybody for the holiday season. You'll be the coolest guy, coolest lady in the office. I almost can guarantee it. VitaminEnergy.com, warchantbogo, your promo code. Warchant.com. We, too, will be running a Black Friday special. This one, though, there's no mercy on this one. There might be some leniency on my behalf if you guys get your orders in maybe on Saturday or something like that. But it's a one-day only sale. 50% off an annual membership at warchant.com. 50% off. And while supplies last, our guy Gene Williams, a.k.a. the Boss Man, he's going to throw in a $25 gift card to Garnet and Gold. So you're going to get access to The Athletic for a full year. You can check out all the message boards on the On3 network, see what the Gator fans are going to talk about when they lose and lose out on Lane Kiffin, get all the information on signing day, the transfer portal, coaching carousel if you're interested about what's going on around the country, and then obviously everything at warchant.com. 50% off, $59.99 just for one day. Sign up, everybody. warchant.com. Corey, how are you, my friend? Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, you too, Aslan. So is this running on Thanksgiving?
No, it was yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure it was a wonderful time for everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good to be around family, see the sun, eat, all good stuff. All good stuff. So we'll see what this weekend brings. But it's been a nice week so far.
Yeah, we'll have a little preview segment later on in the program, and then we'll have our over-unders as well. So lots to get to. Let's get back to the rest of the folks in the mailbag, which, by the way, let me I'm not going to read this out loud because it's very critical. But somebody asked, like, hey, how do I get involved in the mailbag? And I gave them the information. They said that the other day I abruptly stopped what I was reading because it was a pro Norvell comment in the mailbag, which I did. But then we immediately got back to it. I did not skip it.
You didn't skip it. Well,
I did not skip it.
I would have figured.
Yeah.
If it was a pro Jimbo comment, you wouldn't have been sidetracked at all. You'd have read that thing verbatim.
No, sir. It's just, they were just saying, does that mean the only acceptable comments and questions are those that align with your personal opinion? Is there not room for differences? Yes, completely. It's yes. So, and then also, is it necessary to spend so much of our time focused on hiring and firing? When will they fire? But this was sent like before they said they're going to keep him. So we're going to move along. We're going to move along in a somewhat positive manner for a little bit, possibly. And then, I don't know, the cynic in me will maybe emerge victorious, but we see. Nole fan Ron, Corey, said, I've only asked a few questions over the years. Let's see how long he's been around. September 2022.
Okay. All right. That's a good time to join.
Yeah. Usually can't
climb.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. He thinks he's got a good question, although it's a cynical question to start off. It's not a positive one. Does Mike have 4 of the 5 most irritating, ridiculous losses in Florida State history? His 4, in my opinion, are Jacksonville State, Stanford, Memphis, and last weekend against NC State. I know there have been worse losses in terms of importance or national stakes, but those 4 losses have all just been stupid. They're all as bad as the 5th one in my list, 2006 Wake Forest. Yes, I know there's a difference and a different definition of stupid losses, but those are my 4.
Well, he's definitely got the all-time worst loss,
yes,
in my opinion, in Florida State history. And that's the Jack State loss. So, yeah, and I put Stanford – I think Stanford's the second worst loss. I don't know. The NC State one is just – the way it ended was so I don't know, man, embarrassing.
Yeah.
Punchliney. Look, man, none of this has been good the last 2 years. So they're stacking up. I would argue Notre Dame last year was about as ugly and pathetic a performance from a Division I football team, just completely inept, no show, no chance that I've ever seen. And that's right up there too. They have not had those performances this year, but still, that doesn't mean it's been much better. It has been better, but as we all know, not good enough. But yeah, he's had some ugly, ugly, ugly losses, and he's the author of, I think they've had 10 4-game losing streaks in 50 years. He's been the author of 6 of them. So do with that what you will.
I'm in Jacksonville, and I don't have my list of questions that we already went over earlier in the week. So if anything sounds familiar to you, Corey, just be like, whoa, buddy.
Yeah. All right.
I don't think did we answer Hayden Walton's question about how have the teams the last 2 seasons had such poor responses to adversity?
No, we did not answer that.
Felt like we had our whole roster in 2023, while not always pretty, would rise up to the occasion no matter the adversity. Which, by the way, almost like I said another word, I was trying to find file footage of their last true road win against Florida in 2023, and I was typing in search words on our YouTube channel, and I actually found the North Alabama Senior Bowl pregame ceremony. And I was just like, if only, and just all the smiles on everyone's, it was just like, man, if only we knew. Anyways, last season, this season, these teams have not rose up. How is this possible with the same exact head coach? Yeah. Somebody bails us out a little bit, Corey. They said if anybody had the answer to this, we wouldn't be in the predicament we are now.
It's fair. And Norvell was asked as much, or not really asked, but maybe it was after I think it was after the post game at NC State, where he's like, if I could figure it out, I would have fixed it. Maybe it was after the post game. Maybe it was Monday. I can't remember. We interviewed him 3 times in like 5 days.
It's crazy.
Yeah, man, that's but I can understand that being the issue. Was like, well, okay, if you can't figure it out, then that's a problem, because you need to figure it out quickly, because next year needs to be a lot better. Can you figure that out? We'll see. But that to me, it's a fair question. It's a fair criticism. And more than anything, it's because it's what he preaches so much. I talk about the tenets of his program all the time and how he wants to build something. Well, response is like the thing he speaks about more than anything. And it's the thing his team has been worse at the last 2 years. I mean, the talent hasn't been great, but man, that's recruiting and response. The 2 R's. Not going great for Norvell right now, but hey, there's always a chance. And I do think maybe if they finish strong with a class, and that's coming up, what are we? We're less than a week away.
Yep.
If they finish with a top 12, 14 class, you can't get upset about that, especially when you look at the teams that are around them. There's not much difference and there are really good teams in that same ballpark. So it would seem like he's recruiting at a acceptable level now. Last year's class, I don't know what it was ranked, but those guys, a lot of those guys we think can play. This class is one of his higher-ranked classes. Again, it's not top 3, but it's one of his higher-ranked classes. Maybe that's starting to be figured out a little bit. He is still paying the price for almost complete whiffs, like 16 strikeout-type performances from 3 and 4 years ago on the recruiting trail. Just complete whiffs. So he's still paying the price there. It looks like they've ticked up with what they're doing on the recruiting trail, even though, of course, we all know whatever it was, a couple weeks ago they lost their I think it was their highest-rated recruit, Lawrence Timmons' son, committed to Ohio State because he's an idiot. I don't know why anybody would go play in Columbus. It doesn't make any sense.
Dummy.
Don't be a fan later, Timmons.
Yeah. To the point from the other show that we did where you guys mentioned it on headlines too, right? Mike, Jeff mentioning Mike losing his mojo, and then your whole life, your identity has been this play caller, this guy that can be the architect of effective offenses. I do wonder, I don't want to call it a distraction, but the fact that is not part of his day-to-day responsibilities in practice, and then on game day, he is kind of left to his own devices. And I don't know if it's an ESPN thing. I don't watch a lot of Big Ten football on Fox, but every now and then I do. And I feel like they do not show the coaches as much. Usually after a play, they'll go to a cheerleader or they'll show the crowd or they'll do a tight shot of the whoever made the play. But I feel like anytime Florida State's playing a game, good or bad, it's like it goes to Mike Norvell. And I'm watching a lot of it on TV, Corey. You've been in most of these games, but I can't imagine. I'm not saying it's Mike Martin levels of Omaha, but there has to be a level of tension with him as the losses piled up last year and what they are this year. And Gus Malzahn is not a very lovable, affable person either. I mean, he's also very highly strung and tight. So, because I mean, the one hitting off the helmet and KJ Kirkland, that's crazy. What are you going to do? But then the next one to come out, like, I don't know if Squirrel's looking over, if he feels the energy on the sideline after that first one. It's like, man, I gotta make sure I squeeze this one. And then it's coming off the foot a little bit. There has to be something to, not that Mike thought he was going to lose his job, because I think he probably had a good idea that he was going to stick around. But man, I know he wants to win as much as everybody that roots for this team does, but maybe needs to find a different way to comport himself. And,
it's a complaint I had. Remember the Sun Bowl where James Blackman was like, I think literally in tears on the sideline. It's like, man, you're the leader. You're the quarterback. You can't be that emotional, good or bad. Yeah. And, if I'm going to criticize an athlete, a 21-year-old athlete for showing that kind of emotion, I think it could be the same with the head coach. And it's not like anger. They all get angry. They all scream and protect their kids. Yeah. But
anxiety.
It feels. I feel like there is a chance, and I don't know. I've never been on a college football sideline in paths. I don't know how much they even care or look at their head coach during the course of a game. I just feel like it's kind of, and I could be completely wrong, but nobody could prove it, that it's permeated the team.
Oh yeah.
There is a sense of woe is me, and here we go again. And why does this keep happening to us? That I think kind of permeates from the head coach. And I think that's why Ira was talking or asked him. I think Ira and Brendan both asked him on Tuesday about his communication methods and if he's thought about that and how he communicates and what he can change. Because I do think, it's almost mostly all positive the way he communicates. He is upbeat. He is determined. He is always talking them up. He's the same guy all the time. I think that those are all positives, but, man, he wears it on his face sometimes.
Yeah.
And that can be tough, I think.
Yeah. Let's see here. Next question. We're actually going to do some post-production. Our show the other day, the original mailbag show, was so darn long that we actually cut one of the question responses out. It's our guy, random_John. I'm going to drop it right here.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it might not fit all that great. If it feels a little bit disjointed, we're going to answer our guy, random_John's question right now. All right, well, we're going to get random_John then, buddy.
Okay, there we go.
That's what you asked for. Good morning,
OG.
Aslan and Corey. So that comprehensive evaluation after the season line, that was a lie.
Assessment. Get the word right. Assessment. It's a comprehensive assessment.
That was a lie.
Yes. Yeah.
He could have lost every game after Stanford and still kept his job. If they had the money to move on and keep the department functional, they would have. And next year, it's not remarkably cheaper to fire him. And now here we are, knowing the snub taught us wins don't matter. This administration taught us losses don't matter either. So for us fans, in this era of message control, impossible buyouts, and backroom math, what should matter to us anymore if results no longer do?
Yeah.
You asked for it, Corey.
Yeah, you're right. But it's a fair question. I think he strikes at the heart of the frustration with so many fans and you and me, quite frankly. I'm on record. I thought Florida State shouldn't be this, man. 3-13 in 16 games is just absurdly bad. Willie's laughing at this. Think about Willie Taggart laughing at your ACC record. That's what's happening right now. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's indefensible. And so, yeah, man, I think, as I'll go back to the answer from 20 minutes ago, like they tried to take care of Florida State fans 2 years ago with that crazy contract. They were thinking about all of us when they did that. I truly believe that. Now they've decided they're not thinking about you guys at all. and they're going to do what they feel like is the right thing to do from a financial standpoint and from a short and long-term immediate future standpoint for this program. It might be woefully inept. It might be the worst decision even any of these men make. It probably, honestly, just going in recent history, won't work out well for Florida State. But there is a chance it will. I don't necessarily think that results don't matter. I am not of the opinion that if they are any good next year, that he survives it. I know Aslan is. I'm not necessarily of that opinion, but Random John, it's a good point. Like, it ain't like the buyout is cheap next year. So we'll see, man. Maybe they get if they do make some real structural changes to the program, like real fundamental changes, then maybe they'll be set up more for success going into 2027. Even if they have to fire him, they'll have like a better foundation for somebody to come in, to build around, to build in. Maybe they were caught with their pants down because after the Alabama game, they're like, well, we're keeping them. This is locked and loaded. We got a good team this year. We don't have to worry about any of that. And then all of a sudden the losing streak happened, and they had no answers and no real recourse and no names. No even good names to look at to bring in to be the head coach that was worth, in their opinion, spending the kind of money they have to spend to fire this one. So I don't – but the best point is, like, could he have gone 3-9? Like, could he have not beaten Virginia Tech and Wake and they still make that announcement on Sunday?
I think so, yeah.
They could be riding an 8-game losing streak, you think?
Yeah. Because they've convinced themselves that they were close losses.
Yeah.
Bringing
That's
a better
fascinating,
quarterback.
right?
Yeah.
That's fascinating because I'm not there with you on that. But I don't 100% disagree with it either.
Yeah.
Because what did you see in these last 2 road games that gave you any hope? Right. That this guy can get it fixed in the short term or the long term or whatever. Yeah, I don't know though. I in hindsight, like I kept saying, I thought if they lost to Wake, he'd have been fired. I thought that if they'd lost to Virginia Tech, he'd be fired. I obviously thought if they lost to NC State, he would be fired and should be fired. That didn't happen. But man, you really think an 8/9 game losing streak on the heels of 2-10, and they would have released that statement? Like, I just don't understand why they wouldn't have done it then after the Stanford game. Like, just be like, look, he's our coach. He's our coach. Y'all all wanted us to keep him 2 years ago. We listened to y'all. He's our coach. Sorry, gang. We're going to try to help him out. I have a hard time wrapping my mind around them keeping him at 3-9. But what's the real difference? What's the real difference? If they lose on Saturday, they're 3-7 this year. After 1-10 last year, 4-17 against real football programs. But hey, we're here where we are, guys, and check back in when they go land this quarterback in the portal that's going to light this thing on fire. If Indiana can go get him a Heisman candidate, by God, Florida State can too. Florida State's had guys here win the Heisman. I don't know that Indiana's ever even had a guy in New York before. So you can go get somebody, man. This guy's just got to figure out who's going to be the one doing the evaluating and the enticing to get that quarterback here. But get him here. And go get me a couple defensive ends while you're at it.
Back to the present day we return. Marlon Joker. It's clear the administration loves Mike, but do they love him enough to use that buyout money they would have shelled out next year towards NIL to get him a quarterback, a pusher, rusher, or pass rusher, another offensive lineman, and a real linebacker? Yeah, I finally did get to listen to headlines, and I get your point where you talk about if you're a Florida State supporter, a high-hitting financial supporter, like how could you have $1 million to offer to get rid of the coach, but then not have $1 million to offer up to give him better?
And I hope that, because I was thinking about that, because I don't know if I articulated it well, and I don't half the time. It gets intense in there, Aslan, with those two. But I'm not one of these people that say, hey man, you either support the team or you don't. No. Give them money or you're not a real fan. That's not what I'm saying. I was just Jeff was saying that they wouldn't have had any real problem finding the money to buy him out. But he doesn't think he thinks they will have a problem finding money to pay for it, to pay for a good roster. And I'm like, well, that to me, it just doesn't make sense. There's no congruity there. Like if you're a big enough Florida State fan that you'll pay for the head, you love your university and you love your football team above all else, that you're willing to cut a check for, let's say, $1.6 million to add to the fund to get rid of the head coach. And they want to give that head coach and the team that you root for, most importantly, not Mike Norvell, but the team you care about the most, they want to go get the Duke quarterback, and they want that $1.6 million to go to that fund. You're going to say no? Like, I would just that doesn't make sense to me. If I have the kind of money, because I love my program so much that I'm willing to pay that X amount of dollars to help fund a buyout, but those same people, when they keep Norvell, will be like, oh, no, I'm tired of giving. Like, you either want your football team to be better next year or you don't. And getting the Duke quarterback makes you better. That's all. But I certainly don't begrudge people of pulling back donations for this head coach and this current administration. I get that. I'm not saying you either love them or you don't, and don't be a fan later, or buy your season tickets, everyone, support the team no matter what. No, you don't need to be a blind loyalist. I just think in these specific circles we're talking about, the big money. If you care that much about your football team, that you want to see them win and be really good in 2026, the best way to do that, I think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just to pay this guy to go away, but I think the best way to do that is to go get an undeniable roster. So spend your money if you're willing to spend that kind of money. So that's all I'm saying, because I think we were talking about if you added up all the contracts that they would owe next year, going to get in these buyouts. It's not $60 million, obviously, or whatever. They don't have to cut a check for that. But if you talk about Norvell's like $9 million, Gus and Tony's probably $2 million, all the other coaches, you're talking about $15 million that you would have to pay for 1 year, this next year, for them not to coach. Well, man, wouldn't those same people want to pull $15 million on top of the rev sharing and on top of what else everybody else is giving and get you an undeniable roster? That just seems like money better spent to me. If I was a Florida State fan that had that kind of money and was giving like that, it would seem to me, and I might be wrong, again, it's easy for me to use people's up money, I would think it would make more sense wanting to see them have the best chance possible to succeed next year and not waste my money on that. I don't want to give my money to that guy.
Yeah.
That's more important. I don't want to give my money to that guy so he can go live on the beach.
Well, but I think the counter to that is I'll give money to get rid of that guy. I don't want to give that guy money to get players because I don't trust he's going to spend it well, because I gave X amount of dollars the last 2 years and we have 7 wins a show for it.
Yeah. Oh, I get that side of it too. I just, it's not like you either care or you don't. It's like, man, I don't think Miami fans really gave that. I don't think they're huge Cristobal fans.
No.
After the 2023 season. And they went and got him Cam Ward. And then they went and got him Carson Beck. Like, they could have paid to try to buy him out, but they went a different direction. And again, Mike Norvell doesn't deserve anybody's sympathy. And if you don't want to pay him money, don't pay him money. Don't give man, it's easy for us, or people listening to this, to say, man, I would love to cut a check up for $1 million to make that guy go away. It's like, man, you want to talk about burning money. Imagine giving, it's like alimony. You're having to pay alimony to a head coach.
Yeah.
That's
did that
it's
for
like,
Willie
man,
Taggart.
I would rather pay I don't know, that's not the right analogy. I was gonna say I'd rather pay child support. At least my kid growing up, getting use out of it. It's like, man, it would be hard for me to give money to make somebody go away.
It's paying alimony and they already have a deadbeat new partner and like you're funding their lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah, man. It's like, man, can you imagine how angry you would be if you're one of these big money boosters? And I'm sure they're very irate, some of them, about what has happened, what's transpired these last 2 years. But the thought of like, hey, man, we're going to need you to cut us another $2.6 million so we can fire him and he can go get his third mansion and, I don't know, Perdido Key. Or nice. He actually wants a yacht. He's going to get a yacht, and so if you could give us $2.6 million, It would boil my blood to give money, that kind of money, to someone to not work. Yikes. Anyway, that was all. I'm sure I still didn't explain it well.
No,
I'm sure people are screaming at me. And I just want to reiterate, I think I misspoke on headlines. I am not implying that if you decided to pull back money for the roster, for the Battle's End portion of this, because you don't believe in what they're doing with your money, by all means, that is your prerogative. Nobody judges you for it. I understand. It feels like you're burning money. I get it. You absolutely are burning money, though, in my opinion, if you just hand it to a guy to go away. At least there's a chance he could turn it around, right, Aslan? He just give him a bunch of All-Americans.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he would screw that up, but
well, who knows?
I think a little bit of maybe Jeff's point on that too as we go to the next question. It still exists, I guess, right? I mean, there's, Ohio State, they get a couple pieces, not all their roster, but they get some important pieces in the portal. I think to Jeff's point that he's trying to maybe make, or I'm projecting it onto him, is that does 2023 still exist? Does that market in terms of the level of talent, and then you being able to have enough money to go get enough of that talent to put you back level with what that was? Like, does that still exist here? And it's hard to think that you would still have the same amount of budget after, these last 2 years of spending a lot.
Right. That makes 100% sense. I don't think I think they were probably, I would guess, top 10%, top 5% maybe in spending in the portal in 2022 and 2023.
Oh,
right?
For sure.
They were way ahead of the curve.
Yes.
They did a great job there.
Yeah.
Now, if they wanted to be in the top 5%, it's real money. But especially
because top 5% of this conference, and they're in the bottom.
That's
5%
what I'm
of the
saying, man. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it isn't that hard to go get a roster that can compete and beat the Pitts and the Virginias of the world. It ain't. Now, you need a coach, but your coaches. Nobody wants to spend this much money on coaches. Nobody should ever again.
Want to give you a comment to analyze for us, Corey, courtesy of our guy, Riser Mike. Let's generate discussion. Corey, hit that button. I like the confidence he came with. The standard. I hear coaches all around the country using the term. Never has one of them defined it, so I'm going to try. I would like your feedback. I'll let you provide the feedback, Corey. I'll read the question. Bobby Bowden set a standard of fast, strong, physical football, elite talent, teams that the opposing team feared. The opposition would try to scheme and game plan for what they were about to experience. FSU would impose their will, and the opposition would have to try to stop it. The last game I heard the announcers talk about how we adjusted our game plan to surprise the opponent. Or rather, the last game I heard the announcers talk about how we adjusted our game plan to surprise the opponent. This isn't the standard. We make others adjust to us, not the other way around. After all, we are Florida State. Thoughts?
I would say when you do look around college football now, I don't know. Again, it's the same two teams I always bring up. You guys know who I'm going to say, so I'm not going to even say them. But it's
Ohio
those
State and
two,
Georgia.
It's those two teams that I think when they walk onto a field, the other team might be there might be some trepidation and some hesitation. They might be, oh no, this is going to be a long day. Like, I just think those two, and they play that way too. That Ohio State defense is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Georgia's always great defensively and always trying to knock people into the hedges. That's just how they play. Those two teams are what Florida State was in the 90s from from an opponent's perspective.
Intimidation, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another one out there. And I don't know if that's something that's a standard that could even be achieved for any extended period of time. There might be seasons here or there or matchups, but by and large, those days are over, man, sadly. There aren't going to be seasons where Florida State, or anybody else for that matter, is 30 points better than everyone on their schedule and 35 points better talent-wise than everybody on their schedule. There's too much parity. So it's going to be impossible to live up to that standard where you intimidated and you physically manhandle other teams, because that's just not happening anywhere, honestly, outside of Athens and Columbus. And even they have their struggles. Well, Ohio State not much, but Georgia has its struggles from time to time. Other than that, yeah, I think the standard is competence It would be nice to have explosive skill athletes. It would be nice to have a great offense and really good receivers. I think that's the standard. Clearly, this isn't it from a record point of view, obviously. But even you know what I think it was, and I'm going to talk specifically about being a Florida State fan in the 90s. I didn't care in some of those games if a team got out to a 2-touchdown lead. It didn't happen often, or if Florida State was trailing at the half. I knew Florida State was going to win the game. And so did the players. That is what has changed immensely. Now, part of that is because of the new age of college football. Part of that is because I don't think these players, they don't believe they're going to win. They can practice and work as hard as nobody works harder than them and all that, and they bring their hammer to the locker room in the rock to break it. They don't think they're going to win if they're trailing by 10 points. At Florida State, when it was going great, and probably at Ohio State now and Georgia now, it's almost like a unique challenge. Like, oh, man, this is kind of cool. We're in a game. This is fun. Let's watch this. We're going to have to really turn it on. We're going to have to play well. We're going to have to play hard. They're challenging us. This is awesome. And, yeah, this Florida State team, and it hasn't for a couple years now, obviously. I think the 2023 team did, clearly. But other than that, it has been you've had one team in the last decade that's thought it was going to win every game, even if it didn't start out well, and that was the 2023 team. It has been a lot of, man, I hope we pull this out, or this doesn't feel good. Oh, no, here we go. And that has permeated this program. The head coach is mostly, almost solely responsible for this. Let's hope he can get a roster that believes in itself enough, and they don't need him to pound his chest to tell them how awesome to believe in themselves. They just naturally believe in it because they're awesome football players. Let's try that route. Let's try that route of getting really good football players, like you did in 23, that don't need a lot of rah-rah because they know they're badasses. That would be awesome. Let's get back to that, Mike.
You were giving me a really good segue about, I think, like options and choosing things or something like that. I was like, this is going to be a perfect segue to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter what you want to talk about. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is the answer. Delicious food, ice cold, affordable drinks, TVs on the game you want to watch, darts, billiards, social events, bingo night. Not happening this Thursday, obviously, because it's past and it was Thanksgiving. Trivia night on Tuesdays. They also host the Parrot Head Club of Tallahassee, right, Corey? Like, there's a plaque on the wall, too, about thanking Bill for allowing all the Jimmy Buffett fans to come hang out there. They do some sort of, like, get-together there once a month, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm horrible at this. I think it's the first Wednesday of every month, but it might be the last Thursday of every month. Yeah. It's one specific day every month, but I want to say the first Wednesday. So if you're a big Jimmy Buffett head, that's what they call themselves, right? Buffett heads. If you're a Buffett head, then go to Corner Pocket Wednesday around 5 and see if you see like-minded people and people playing music. If not, I got it wrong and I apologize.
The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and NAPA Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. Welcome back in. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, warchantbogo, your promo code. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about the Gators. For that, we go to Gators Online. You get access to that website and so much more when you subscribe to warchant.com and the On3 network. Zach Abolverdi joins us, senior writer for Gators Online. Hope you're going to have a happy Thanksgiving, either by the time we get done with this or however we end up airing this, Zach. But let me start off with this weird, random, just big picture question. What happened? You felt like Lagway, Baugh, guys like Barber and Slaughter on your offensive line, some of these weapons they brought in out wide, homegrown guys, not necessarily the portal this time around, but homegrown guys. This is going to be a really good offense and probably a really good team. They're coming into this one with 3 wins and an interim coach for the second time in 4 years, man. What happened?
Yeah, I think that what people expected from this team in terms of how it was going to trend in 2025 just did not come to fruition. You mentioned Lagway. I think a lot of that was based on the way that he finished the year with the 4-game winning streak. He was 6-0 as a starter last season, freshman All-American, did a lot of great things, throwing the ball deep. And I think it's very clear that his offseason or lack thereof set him back, set the offense back. And I don't think that he's ever really recovered from that setback. I think he's maybe gotten more into football shape along the way and tried to get a little bit more settled into the game, but he's still having issues with his rhythm, with his mechanics, with his delivery. And it's all stuff that kind of stems, again, from no spring camp, no fall camp, nothing in the summer either. Like it's really rare that you see a starting quarterback go through that type of offseason. But it wasn't just him. I think it's important to point out as well, you know, they've had some other guys that I think that they were counting on to have big seasons not be healthy. I think the most notable one is Caleb Banks. Like, he was projected first-round pick coming into the year, preseason All-SEC guy. He, like Lagway, was out in training camp, had a foot injury, didn't play until the LSU game, the SEC opener, week 3. Then he gets hurt in that game, looks like a shell of himself from where he was the year before, has foot surgery, and then just came back last week against Tennessee, which I give him credit because I thought that he was going to be done for the year after he had that surgery. So he decided to come back and try to finish out the year with his boys. But, I mean, you're talking about two guys that were supposed to be your best player on offense and your best player on defense that have been hurt and not themselves. And then obviously, too, there's some other guys. I think Dallas Wilson, we would all agree that that's probably one of Florida's best players on offense, if not their most dynamic and talented. And when they were at their best in 2025, he was, going over 100 yards receiving with 2 tutties in that win over Texas. Like, for Florida to be at its best, that guy's got to be catching passes from DJ Lagway. So his injury and absence this year has been felt. Eugene Wilson III out for the year. Vernell Brown III, Florida's leading receiver, has missed time with an injury. Like, just too many guys banged up. Every week Florida plays, it seems like its injury report is much greater than its opponent. And that's never a good recipe for success. Mentioned Caleb Banks, but Aaron Gates, Dijon Johnson, some of these other guys that they've gotten injured as well. It's just one too many hits, as well as I think obviously them not playing up to their standard. And you combine all that together with a lame duck coaching staff, and you're 3-8.
You mentioned, Caleb's injury and him being a leader of the defense. The defense seems to have played well for the most part from the outside looking in. I know Tennessee, what they did last weekend was pretty impressive if you're a Vols fan and pretty discouraging if you're a Gators fan. But, I mean, your guy's schedule is ridiculous. So that didn't surprise me all that much. Defensively, I know we don't, as we're recording this, we don't have the injury report, but I mean, how whole are they on defense? What are you expecting out of them just in terms of, I guess, competitiveness and, fire, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, they got, I guess, some good news this week with Cormani McClain not having a serious knee injury or a significant knee injury because they're already down one of their starting cornerbacks. And if he's out, they're going to be relying on a true freshman. I mentioned the secondary. Like, there's been times where one of their safeties have been out. They had Bryce Thornton out this past game, so he's a name to watch. Does he return this week against Florida State? He is one of their better defensive backs. Caleb Banks, he made his return to the starting lineup last week, but they were out Mekhi Barrow. So he'll be a guy to see if Florida's able to have back in the lineup, as well as George Gums Jr., their starting outside linebacker. He did not play either against Tennessee. So they've had some guys out. I will say Jaden Woods, who has started in place of Gums last week, he's been Florida's highest-rated defender 2 weeks in a row, according to PFF. So probably one of their more promising players on defense, a freshman edge guy that they flipped from Penn State. So regardless of whether Gums returns or not, he's going to be a big time. He's going to play a big time role, I think, in Saturday's game. They're going to need him to get pressure on the quarterback, on Castellanos. But those are probably the main names to watch out for. And Florida certainly cannot afford to have anybody else on the defensive side of the ball go out this week, be it one of their starting linebackers, or they've already lost basically Grayson Howard hasn't played all year, so they can't take any more hints on the injury front.
Florida State wants to run the ball just like I think most every other team out there. So, I mean, even if your secondary is banged up, Zach, I shouldn't say your secondary, but if the Florida secondary is banged up, Florida State wasn't really able to capitalize it on against NC State, who had a really bad secondary. Do you think Florida's up to slowing down the run game enough, not to, make Florida State one-dimensional, but if Florida State can't run the ball, you get them in obvious, down and distance passing situations. If you get good coverage on Deuce Robinson, you'll probably be all right. Do you think, I guess those are the two things I would think about asking for the defense. Do you think they'll be able to disrupt, create enough negative plays defensively, keep Florida State behind the chains? And do they have anybody that can hang? I mean, no one's going to neutralize Deuce Robinson, but anybody that can maybe hang with a 6'6" receiver like Robinson?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that probably Devin Moore will be the guy that gets that assignment. He's a taller, more physical corner, has been their best corner this year. But look, man, you asked about the run, defending the run. Like, I don't know if Florida can stop the run. They're going to have to this game, and if they're going to win, that has to change, because they have given up over 230 yards rushing 3 weeks in a row, including 248 last week against Tennessee. So, like, that is why they have lost those games, among some other things. But as much as Florida might want to try to take away the run game, or at least do a better job of defending it, I don't know that they can. Mekhi Barrow being back would be a huge help. George Gums Jr. being back would be a huge help. But if either of those guys are not, even with Caleb Banks' return, like, he's not the Caleb Banks of 2024 that was winning SEC Player of the Week against Ole Miss. Like, that's not that guy right now. So it could be tough sledding for Florida defensively, trying to stop this ground attack by the Seminoles. We'll have to see if they're able to, but Castellanos is a very shifty dual threat quarterback, and the Gators have had issues early in the season facing some of those guys, and then they've had issues tackling and stopping running backs the last 3 weeks. So that's not a good recipe for success.
Like, is Jaden Ball one constant for Florida, at least on offense? Like, a guy that's going to continue to run hard. What do you think is some of the things that Florida can lean on, will be leaning on, can rely on offensively, going up against a Florida State front that doesn't have a lot of dynamic athletes at the linebacker spot, not a lot of disruptive pass rushers, but they've been able to junk it up. I mean, that's almost like that might be underselling what they've been able to do the last few games. I mean, the defense has looked improved for Florida State, but Lagway, his ability to throw the ball downfield with some accuracy and scramble around, and then a guy like Ball, I don't know if that combination of two guys has been in front of Florida State here in a few weeks.
Yeah, Ball has 100% been the bright spot on offense and Florida's best player. Now, I think, you could say just over the course of the season. I mean, Dallas Wilson had his little run there before he got hurt, but Jaden Ball throughout 2025 has showed up each and every week. He's closing in on a 1,000-yard season, which would be Florida's first since 2015 and only the 10th in school history. So that's pretty historic. If he's able to pull that off, and I think that will be a goal of him in the offense this week. Now, it's not going to be easy against FSU. They've been really good at defending the run this year, and I would imagine that they're going to try and take that away from Florida because they have just not shown the ability to produce consistently in the passing game with DJ and its revolving door of receivers. I mean, J. Michael Sturdivant has kind of been the only consistent in the starting lineup. But, they've had other guys kind of seemingly every different week. There's a new different starter along with Sturdivant. They've had to go with two tight ends in the starting lineup the last 3 weeks because of all the injuries at receiver. So Jaden Ball has had to be leaned on more maybe than typically, and he's answered the bell. Like, dude is running so hard, making plays, like his vision and ability to avoid tackles and get the extra yardage and just run hard like that. He hasn't let up whatsoever, despite Florida's struggles on offense. And I'm sure his frustrations with Lagway in the passing game, not holding up their end of the bargain. So they're going to need another big performance from Jaden Ball if they're going to be able to be competitive and win this game. And so far, that's really the only thing that they've been able to rely on.
Bowl eligibility out there for grabs for Florida State. But as I was thinking of asking you the question about this, to a man, I wonder how much of the guys on the Florida State roster, like, yeah, that'd be cool, but like, I'm also fine just going home and, not that they're not going to try to beat Florida. They do want to beat Florida, I think, but maybe
I think beating Florida matters more than bowl eligibility.
Yeah, for sure. And then winning a game on the road finally, right? But what is your sense? And it's so hard to gauge it, obviously, from being outside the locker room, but just in terms, I know Billy Gonzalez has been there, with Urban back in the day, and probably has a special level of hatred for Florida State. So I'm sure he'll do his best to get those guys fired up. But, it's their last game for a lot of these guys, period. Last game in the swamp. I mean, how motivated do they have anything left in the tank after this incredibly crazy slate of games with, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then now Florida State? I mean, what are you expecting just in terms of like sheer will and desire from Florida's side of things?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that, I think, because it's a rivalry game and it's senior day and this team, this is their last time out, like this is their last hoorah, that they're going to leave it out all on the field. They've been competitive in so many big time matchups this year, been so close to winning, but then they've also just got blown out in a couple games and just not shown up and just lost it. I don't know how much, what their motivation is or what's going to be their biggest source of motivation Saturday. I do think playing for the seniors and for the guys that are going to have their last game in the swamp, that's going to matter. But talking to the guys, like, they are aware that they can knock Florida State out of bowl contention. I think that would be a nice feather in their cap. Any time that you can beat Florida State, your in-state rival, I don't want to say it's a successful season, but it is something that you can at least hang your hat on. I would say that talking to the players this week in Gainesville, they are more thoughtful and mindful of, and I asked you about this on our show, but like they're more thoughtful of the kind of back and forth that's taken place the last 2 years in this rivalry at the end of the game. Yeah. FSU cutting out the sod in the swamp in 2023, the Florida planting the flag in Doak Campbell Stadium last season. Like, that's on the minds of these guys this week, and they don't want Florida State to be able to come in on their senior day and do that again. And knowing that those guys are going to want to get revenge for the Gators planting the flag last year in their stadium. So, whatever they've got to latch on to like, I think, find motivation to get right for this game, I think is good. And I do believe that that's one of the motivating factors because not only will the Seminoles probably cut out some sod, but they're likely going to throw plant a flag down as well. So
I don't think so, Zach. That'd be a bad look for Florida State, I think, because of the way that Mike Norvell responded, right? Like, he got really upset at Billy, and Billy wore it, man. That's Billy let him sit there. So I do, and that's. But
then do they do the sod thing again?
Yes. Oh yeah. Man. It's sod game. This is what we do. It's what we do, Zach.
That's like tongue in cheek from Norvell. Like, don't plant your flag on our field, but we're going to cut the sod out of your end zone.
Well, they try to do it kind of off in the sideline corner. Like, it's not like they go out to the 50-yard line and take out a piece of turf.
That's a good. That's a good point. That's a good point. And so. But yeah, I mean, the players are mindful of that and like of all the things that we talked about with them this week in terms of the rivalry, trying to go out with a win, trying to get one for the seniors. Like, the thing that they lit up the most about was like not letting FSU disrespect them again and being able to get a victory. So is that enough to push them to a win on Saturday, we'll find out. But I can't wait to see how post-game goes.
Well said. All right, 4:30, Florida State taking on Florida in the Swamp, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. If you want more information on this matchup, obviously we got you over at warchant.com, but check out Gators Online if you're a member of warchant.com. You get access to everything on the On3 network, the On3 universe, including our guy Zach over at Gators Online. Zach Abolverdi joining us here on the program. Zach, thanks, man. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you all as well.
Underdog Fantasy Sports. It's going down. Rivalry week. I can't say rivalry week very quickly. I don't know. I almost want to do the Miami Pitt game. That's almost more intriguing to me, but we're a Florida State show.
We can do it. Or do you want to do the Noles?
Let's do the Noles. Let's do the Noles. All right, we got Tommy. We've got 0.5 interceptions thrown. We've got 50.5 rushing yards, 1.5 passing touchdowns, 218.5 passing yards, also 1/2 rushing touchdown.
I'll go, what's the interception? Half?
Yeah, higher or lower?
Higher.
Ooh, higher. DJ Lagway or Jaden Baugh for the other side?
Lagway.
My God, there's a whole bunch for Lagway. Man, they got completions for Lagway, 16.5. That's an available one. 198.5 passing yards, 1.5 passing touchdowns, 28.5 pass attempts, 40.5 longest completion, 12.5 longest rush.
Isn't he without one of his good receivers?
Well, all of them, I think. Yeah, like Dallas Wilson.
He's got Burnell Brown, but like one of their really good ones is hurt,
up.
right?
Yeah, Dallas Wilson, I think.
That's his name. Or Dallas Turner.
No, that's an Alabama linebacker.
Yeah, there you go. So too many Dallases.
Yeah.
To think about now. I would go. So he's in his last 4 games, he's only thrown over 160 yards once. So I feel like I'd go under that.
Lower?
I mean, lower. Sorry, CJ Bailey only threw for like 130.
I know, it's crazy, right?
So I would think. I think they're going to try to they're going to baw him to death. So I think that's their game plan.
Baugh 93.5 rush yards. Would you rather do that?
No. I'd like to go lower.
Okay.
I'd like to go lower on both.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. We got
lower on both.
And then let's go deuce.
Okay.
Half touchdown, 82.5 receiving yards.
Higher on all of it.
You can only pick one per player.
I hate to be this person. You guys listen to this show. I'm mainly glass half full. I'm a pretty optimistic person. But if you wanted Deuce to come back for another year, what would be like the worst case scenario of what could happen in Gainesville tomorrow? He would have a huge game.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Score a couple touchdowns, maybe go for 140. You'd love it in the moment, but then you're like, okay, now he's gone. So that's what will probably happen.
All right. All those picks, higher on Deuce receiving yards, lower on Baugh rushing yards, lower on Lagway passing yards, higher that Tommy's going to throw at least one pick. That's an 8.8 to 1 payout.
Okay, nice.
Go make your picks over at Underdog Fantasy Sports. Download the app today. Sign with promo code WARCHANT to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code WARCHANT. Underdog, make picks, win money. Underdog Fantasy Sports must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. We're going to do some over-unders here in a little bit, give away some money to Garnet and Gold. But we got some other questions to finish up, too. It is Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, Warchant BOGO. Buy one, get one free. Noles North. Wake up, Corey and Aslan. I expect that most questions this round will be about Mike remaining at the helm. I've been thinking about a bigger picture question. I thought I could break up the discussion.
All right.
I saw a clip of Greg Olson talking about how the current payment system for college athletes and basically having yearly free agency does not make sense. Heck, we have seen players change after spring ball before they even play a game at their first school. With the future College Sports Commission, how much longer do you think we will be sitting in the insanity of the current landscape with NIL? Even with revenue sharing, what else needs to be done so the bag man doesn't just lead to $50 million payrolls being the participants in the college football invitational playoff. Thanks, gentlemen.
I think the multi-year contracts are a great way to start, but I think they have to have language in them that makes them very hard to break, one way or the other. You don't want to give a kid 2 years, $400,000, and then he doesn't end up being a good player, and you just cut him. Like, that's not fair to them. Just like it's not fair if he was awesome and outplayed his current contract, and somebody else came and took him from me and stole him from me, even though he's got a 2-year contract. I know there'd be language in there that you'd get paid back some of it. But, I think there needs to be multi-year contracts. It can't be year to year. I don't care that scholarships are 1 year renewable. That was always dumb, too. So make these contracts. You want to make them 4 years? Make them 4 years. I would go 2. That gives you some wiggle room both sides in case some 3-star twin brother ends up being one of the best defensive linemen you've ever had. And you probably didn't expect that when you signed him for whatever deal you got him for initially. He might want and deserve a little more than what he agreed to for a multi-year deal. So I'm not smart enough to know, honestly. Who is? Clearly no one. This is all just insanity. But I think multi-year contracts, better language where you are protected, and not
real penalties. Real penalties, yes. Too, right, Corey? I mean, that's the only way you're going to stop. Because, listen, bagmen have always been around, but it was done more discreetly and not to the level of money and figures that we're hearing now because there's no rules. There's no punishment. I'm not saying that it's going to eliminate it completely, and this is probably the only thing I oppose Jeff Cameron's thought process, where and I get, like, Florida State needs to do everything and anything they can to get the players they need to get on campus. But, I mean, I'm trying to hope, I'm being Pollyanna, I'm being naive. I do want to operate under this new set of rules because NIL still exists, but it all has to go through the College Sports Commission. It has to be vetted. It has to be market value. A lot of them have been approved. A lot of them have been denied. You just cannot simply give a kid $50,000 to come play wide receiver for you and come shake some hands at a car lot for an hour, And I know Ira was talking about there's other schools out there being creative. Like, no, man, I don't want this to be about how we can launder and funnel money the most creative. Like, that's not why I liked college football.
I guess you don't like winning then, Aslan.
Apparently not. Yeah, man, apparently not. But yeah, I would hope that there are some real teeth in the enforcement where, like, I know they can't find everybody, man, but if they get you dead to rights and they found out that you gave $150,000 to someone's dad so that his kid would come play there without any kind of real business expense, I hope that team loses 10 scholarships. I hope they. Well,
and that kid is ineligible for the rest of his college career.
Yeah, that, or they can't. They're not eligible to play in their conference championship games. That would give them the playoff. There needs to be some real enforcement and some real punishment to real deterrence is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, but if there's proof that somebody's taking illegal money and they're just doing a job where they're not showing up and they're getting paid $400,000 for it, and you have actual proof, or you don't know, they're the ones that have to have the proof now that this is the money they've earned, this is what they've been paid, this is why they've been paid. If it's not, I don't know, condoned, signed off on by the College Sports Commission, if they deem it, or NCAA, they deem it to be not worth that kind of money, and you still get paid that money, then yeah, you don't get to play football in college anymore. Like, that only has to happen once or twice, and that will stop that real quick, because players do want to play football. I know money is important. They'd have to give the money back anyway, and then they're ineligible. So, and I don't want to be that punitive on the players, but man, I just think with 105 scholarships, if you lose 10 of them, who cares?
Yeah.
You still got 95 of them. A postseason ban, all right, man. Nobody cares if you weren't going to make the playoffs anyway. Nobody cares about that either. And that's only 12 teams apparently for at least the next year. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done there in that space. As it is now, though, there are no rules in place about this NIL, about how it's going to be enforced. And as long as there isn't, go ahead. Go ahead.
No.
Go see if you can get in trouble. Ask for forgiveness. Don't ask for permission. You cannot afford to do that if you're Florida State in 2026. Now, spend the money wisely, man. Come on. Spend it. What they spent money on a roster that should be going to Charlotte next week.
Yep.
The amount of money they spent on this roster and this coaching staff, they should be going to Charlotte. I can promise you they spent way more money than the other teams that are currently alive, except for Miami, I guess is sort of still alive, to go to Charlotte. So spend it better. But money, when it comes to trying to get to Charlotte, is not a problem at Florida State. But it's got to be spent better, and hopefully they make a higher announcement, structure change, whoever needs to be making these decisions on who they pay, how much they pay, how many people they pay. All that needs to be hopefully being done behind the scenes right now, and they get off and running starting Sunday morning or Saturday night at 9 p.m.
All right, last question from the mailbag. Big Steve-O 22. Good morning, gentlemen. What a joyous time it is to be an FSU fan. Corey, I appreciate how you look at FSU's situation from both sides of the coin. It is easy for any one of us to say this isn't working, Norvell needs to go, which I agree with. That's right. Big Steve-O. Me too. But Me also too. Look at things from the view of the administration. Yeah. After reading Ira's article and the statement released by our administration on Sunday, shouldn't the blame be placed all on the administration? Not just the Norvell hire and the contract extension, but even going back to the end of the Jimbo tenure. It seems FSU, from an operations standpoint, has been operating a few years behind other top programs. Yay, we got a football-only facility now, something which other programs have had for years. Large football support staffs are something that big programs like Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia have had for years and years. I could go on and on. Not sure how they're going to do it, but I do agree an overhaul of the complete program is necessary. Maybe they are keeping Norvell during the transition to have at least one constant during this huge amount of change. No matter what, FSU for life.
There you go. Hey, I like the way you ended that. I like the whole comment was nice and measured and
on
intelligent.
The nose, yeah.
Yeah. I think. Number one, yes, going back to Jimbo real quick, none of those people that were in the administration then are here now. So you can't really – when you say the FSU administration as if it's one entity, well, it isn't. Like, I think Barron was the president. Who was the AD? Wilcox?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know who the Board of Trustees chairman was. It wasn't Peter Collins. But either way, it was different decision makers. Well, now you have different decision makers in place. And look, man – you can say what you want about Alford's decision, and it wasn't his decision, obviously. He didn't just go – I brought this up on headlines, too. This was not a Dallas Mavericks GM decision of like, hey, I'm trading Luka, and I don't care what y'all say.
Yeah, they didn't pull a Nico Harrison.
Alford has bosses, and he did not do that contract on his own. And it was 100% universal approval when he did it. Now, it's his job, and it's their job to maybe have some forethought. And think, okay, what if, he is losing a lot of players. What if they aren't any good next year? And I'm sure their thought was, what if we actually, what if we only go 6-6 or 7-5? We don't want to be on the hook for this guy. They could have thought like that. Obviously, 2-10 happened, and it made it look like the worst contract in Florida State history, which it is. But I think moving forward, when you think about it, and yes, man, the administration is to blame. Nobody blames Norvell for signing it. Maybe. Now, look, I do think Alabama wanted Norvell. I don't think that was smoke. I don't think that was just Jimmy Sexton using Florida State to get more money, using Alabama to get Norvell more money. Now, he did do that, but it wasn't it wasn't just a figment of his imagination. And I always come back to
– it wasn't a complete ruse. Yeah, there was –
No, I come back to what we were hearing at the time from the administration, but also Bruce Feldman, man. Bruce Feldman is as dialed in as anybody when it comes to this space. And he's tweeting about why Mike Norvell would be a good hire for Alabama, and it looks like they're pointing towards Mike Norvell. Now, maybe he's getting that from Sexton, sure, but he wouldn't just tweet or write about that without having other sources telling him how interested Alabama was. There was interest there. It was a two-man race. So Florida State did not want to lose their head coach to Alabama, especially after what had happened the previous month. I've been through all that. I understand why they did it. But, yeah, they made a horrible decision in hindsight. At the time, we all praised them, and it was something we all thought was like a palate cleanser after the last month of just despair. That, okay, you get to keep your awesome head coach, you get to keep. He didn't go to Alabama because Florida State matters in this sport. Florida State's a blue bud. By God, they're not going to lose another coach to the SEC. And, as we look back, you would have loved for them to lose another coach to the SEC. They didn't. I will say this, though, when it comes to, I think they obviously, I don't know how much they like Norvell. I mean, I don't know how they could. Ira keeps bringing that up. I get it. They might believe in him, but they also have eyes and brains. Like, I believed in him. I remember walking into that stadium in Ireland thinking, man, Georgia Tech has a more proven quarterback. They're a tough team. They played well last year, and we know nothing about this Florida State team. Nothing, really. We don't know how they're going to look against another team, but by God, it's Mike Norvell versus Brent Key.
Yep.
I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
It's Mike Norvell versus Brent Key. Good luck, Georgia Tech. That's how high I was on him going into that game, and I don't think I'm alone there. Not so high anymore, Aslan. But the point, I think, now when we look at what they decided to do or not do is, I'll bring up the number again. It's $100 million probably, all told, when it's all said and done, of getting rid of him and his contract and his coaching staff and bringing in a new one. Maybe they're thinking, their forward thinking now is, do we really want to spend that kind of money on coaching? Like, is it that important in this day and age of college football? Like, are we going to spend that kind of money? And I'm not saying that coaching isn't important. Please believe that. But maybe they're thinking, as we reshape this sport, and the sport gets completely, transformed into something else, where it's a player's sport now. It's not the iconoclast head coach. It's a player's sport. Do we really want to be on the hook for $100 million for a coach in this day and age? So it's not a popular decision. We'll see if it backfires once next season starts. Nobody's happy with it. I'm not happy with it. I'm tired of going on the road and watching this, folks. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of it. Trust me. It's not fun. This is my livelihood. We want them to be good. We desperately want them to be good. And I've traveled all these games, not Stanford. Sorry, Ira. I didn't have to go to that one. So we all want them to be good. These people want him to be good. The administration wants him to be good. But as they look towards what they might be thinking is a brand new landscape and a brand new mechanism for a college football program, maybe they think the days of spending that kind of money on a coach are gone. And they were one of the last ones to make that mistake, but they're not going to compound it by paying them that kind of money to go away and then investing like close to $100 million on their football coaching staff. Maybe they don't think that's the right play.
Over 7 years, yes.
But right, but it is, right? Like, it's even like next year it would be.
I know, but I've got to pay a mortgage, but like I can pay it every single month. I don't have to pay all of it at the first of the year.
Well, how about this? Let me put it another way. What do you think they would get a head coach for, like a going rate? Like $6 million a year would be.
Yeah, like Summerall, right? And everyone's like, why are you such low as Summerall? Let's just use him as an example because, let's use Summerall.
Let's say you pay him, I don't know, 4 years, $30 million, $28 million. That's not the right math. 4 years, $24 million. Yeah. There we go. I knew I'd get there. Well, that means you're paying the head coach position at Florida State $16 million a year for 7 years, at least for the next 4. You're paying. Your budget, your football budget, includes $16 million for the head coach.
Until he finds a job somewhere else.
Oh, that's true. Hey, you're right. And if he beats the Gators on Saturday, maybe he will go somewhere else. Maybe he'll go to USF, man. It looks like they might have a job opening soon because I love that, by the way. Did you see that tweet from the USF AD before we get out of here?
No.
He tweeted that we have been in contact with Alex Golish. It is Golish, right?
Correct.
He has been very transparent with us that he has been looking at other jobs. He's been interviewed for other jobs. There is a chance he might be leaving. We just want all of the USF fans and alumni to know that we're on top of this. We are making arrangements in case it does happen. We'd love for him to stay, but if he doesn't, we are making arrangements and we're coming up with alternatives for if and when that time comes. But it's awesome. Yeah. But it's also, I think another school did that. Another school's AD did that too. And I'm like, you know what?
UConn had a nice
That's right.
farewell to Jim Moore. Like, we appreciate everything. And like, we're going to we're on it right now. Yeah.
Not that. It was somebody talking, and yes, that was a nice one. I wasn't trying to be dismissive there. It was another AD that was talking about the coach interviewing for somewhere else. Not that he had a job, but they were tracking it. He had told them that he was interviewing for other jobs. I love it, man. Quit letting these coaches get to do everything in silence and then just bounce. And be transparent with your fan base and your constituency. Yeah. If they're interviewing for another job, let them know. Because then it puts the onus on the coach.
Yeah. Let me read this tweet. This is incredible.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Since Saturday's game, Coach Golish has been presented with outside opportunities that he has been transparent about with us. We are respectful and supportive of Coach and his family and their decision-making process. We will remain in constant communication. Bulls Nation, rest assured, we are ultra prepared for every scenario that could unfold in the coming hours and days. Our commitment and investment has never been higher, and we're also laser focused on being great stewards of our resources. Most importantly, the future of USF football has never been more bright. Go Bulls! Yeah, man, I
would like him to say brighter. Honestly,
more bright. Yeah,
I don't like more bright there at the end. I'd like brighter, but other than that, that's perfect. No notes.
Stewards, though, that was used in the statement by Florida State, right? Like being stewards of which is basically we need to count our beans and be wise with our bean usage.
Yeah. But I think there's a shift where when this stuff is happening, you don't look like you're not doing anything. Get out ahead of it. I love it. That we all know he's going to leave. So get out ahead of it and let your fans know that you know it's happening and that you put the onus back on him where he gets asked the questions and he doesn't have to say, I mean, he can. He's like, I'm just here to talk about UCF or whatever he's going to say. But his AD did it for him. Like, awesome, man. You're going to use USF as a stepping stone. That's fine. We don't want our fans to feel like they've been stepped on. So we're going to get out ahead of it. I know that's a stepping stone, so it's by the definition you get stepped on. But we don't want our fans to feel like that. So we're going to get ahead of you in your career because we're more important than you. And so I want my fans are more important than you. So I want my fans to know that, yeah, you're interviewing. We know it, and we're making plans for when you leave. And you're going to regret it, and you're never going to win anything ever. He could be like he should have done it like the Cleveland Cavaliers owner when LeBron left. You remember that crazy
Comic Sans font?
Oh my gosh! And that's why he's a loser. He's never going to win anything. It was the most unhinged, deranged screed that I've ever seen from somebody with a lot of money. It's up there anyway. Yeah. So yeah, it's I love that. I think there's a shift, man. I just feel like a shift in the whole sport. And Florida State clearly didn't want to be on the hook for having to pay their head coaches. Isn't that awesome? Their head coaches $16 million, $17 million a year for the next 4 or 5 years.
AI is coming for our jobs. Bots are actively making us fight each other on social media, and a pound of beef cost how much? Life has never been easy, but new stressors definitely complicate things. Oh, and there's you out there having to be a parent in this climate, or maybe you're going through a bad breakup. Maybe you have to manage an ailing, aging family member. You're making do, but might be a good idea to talk some stuff out. Yes, we've got friends, but it might not be the easiest on-ramp to unload all of our problems onto them. That's where Rula comes in. R-U-L-A. Look, if we pull a muscle at the gym, we'll go see a doctor most times. Access to therapy should be treated the same, but there's high copays and long waits. It doesn't make sense for many, but Rula makes therapy simple, affordable, and fast. The average session copay is $15. That's basically the cost of lunch, but instead of a sandwich, you are investing in your own headspace. Thousands of men have already found the care that they need. Don't keep putting it off. Go to Rula.com/wakeup to get started. That's RULA.com/wakeup. Take the first step, get connected. Let's control our mental health. Form and function, fit and futuristic. Ditch the old clunky stale wallet for a wallet from Ridge. Featuring premium materials for a premium feel. It'll be the last wallet you're ever going to buy because Ridge comes with a lifetime warranty. Oh yeah, and free shipping. And a 99-day risk-free trial. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off at Ridge by using code WAKEUP at checkout. Just head to ridge.com and use the code WAKEUP, and you're all set. I like this thing, guys. I've got better lower body mobility. Is it because I haven't been sitting on a wallet for like the last 6 months, or is it because I've been doing a little bit more mobility workout at the gym? I don't know, but it fits right into your front pocket. Piece of cake. And I'm not skinny jean guy. Okay, let's be honest. I know you guys think my fashion styles might be a little too flamboyant, but I don't wear skinny jeans. But I wear slim fit stuff, and it fits perfectly. So if you got the baggy stuff, piece of cake. Front pocket, all good. When you do your check before you leave the house, you won't have to tap the back of your back. You'll just be like, front pocket, I'm good to go. Check out Ridge, ridge.com. Use the promo code WAKEUP to save 10% off your order. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. warchantbogo, your promo code. Let's give out gift cards. 'Tis the season to Garnet and Gold. $25 to our top member, $10 to our top non-subscriber. Over-unders, Corey. Road game for Florida State. Where should we start? What is it? Squirrel White, we're going to still do that. We're going to should we do 1.5? Maybe he's really going to be motivated to redeem himself.
I honestly think, I think that's a good number because I think there is a chance they're like, screw it, man. We got to get this kid the ball. He's gone through enough. He's had a non-existent year other than making one catch against Alabama, which was a big one.
Huge.
And then dropping that punt against NC State. Let's throw him the ball 4 times. Even if they're just wide receivers, let him do the Lucas thing. Where he runs in front, you just do a pitch pop pass to him. Like, do that. Just get him a couple catches. So I think 1.5 is a good number for Squirrel.
How about amount of Florida State running backs that get 5 or more carries?
How about 3 or more?
3 or more carries.
5 or more, that's probably just going to be 2.
Okay.
But I think if you do 3 or more, you could get, was Singleton, we haven't seen the injury report, so we don't know.
Yeah.
Croma, Sawchuk, Roy Dell's back in it. I think Singleton, they probably want Singleton to put. I would say 3.5.
Ooh. Okay.
What were you going to say?
I don't know. I thought maybe 2.5 because
2.5 is a better number.
Yeah,
you're right. Everybody's going to
so.
hammer the under.
Yeah.
Lower.
Anything with Deuce besides receiving? I guess receptions or longest reception, maybe.
How about penalties on the offense, or just penalties?
Okay.
Because you don't want to have to differentiate.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
6.5.
I was literally going to say that same number.
Okay.
Defensively, do you want to do another true freshman combo? Arno, the Desir twins.
How about let's see. I like the Nicholson James Williams combined tackles.
Okay.
We did that a couple weeks ago. That worked out well. They won the game. Yeah. And let's say, James Williams had a couple nice plays against NC State. Nicholson, I would say, they're going to run the ball a lot too. So 7.5, I think, is a good number. I think Blake could have 6 or 7 by himself.
Okay. Amount of punt return, like punt return yardage for Florida State? Or
Yeah, how about punt return yardage? I mean, what would you put that at? 2.5? How many punt return yards do they have all season?
I don't know. Deuce had a big one against Stanford or one of the game, Virginia maybe. He had one on the road that he busted off like 20, 25 yards, I feel like.
Deuce did?
No, I'm sorry. Squirrel.
They did have the one against Stanford on the trick play punt return. They should do that every game. That thing is the only thing that works on the road. How about no, man? I'm going to say 2.5 yards.
Oh, okay.
I mean, people are going to hammer the over. That's fine. You'll see.
We got space for another one, Corey.
I was going to say how many times Norvell beats his chest. But then you have to monitor it. But I also think it's going to be 0. I think he might have heard some negative feedback from that. He also didn't know he was on TV all that much. No. That isn't. He's not doing that performatively. That is who he is.
Yes.
He is trying to tell them to believe. I would have him quell that going into next season and be more strategy focused and not, what's inside matters focused.
Do you want to do one that you want to be a big team player, Corey? You want to time how long his halftime speech is?
Oh, before they get to go to the locker room?
Yeah.
Oh man, you'd have to remind me. But sure.
No, it's fine. You want to do Weinberg total points?
How about attendance?
Oh, okay. All right.
What's that place seat?
I think it still seats over 80. Let me see.
Can you look up what it was for the Tennessee game?
90,465.
For Tennessee?
Yep. 90,203 for Mississippi State. Those are their last 2 home games.
How about 80? Man, they're going to lie about it. I don't want to do that because they're going to lie about it. There's no way there were 90,000 fans there for that Mississippi State game. None. No chance. So they're just lying about it. So let's do
the lowest attendance this season was the opener against Long Island, 89,451.
Yeah, no chance. No chance that's true either. Let's do Lagway Limps.
Oh, come on.
I don't care. I will never get over the fact that
How will
kid.
I count that?
Helped off the field. 0.5. And I'm not saying we don't have to do that, but I've always thought poorly of that kid
ever since the Georgia game 2 years ago.
The hamstring injury where he was carted off the field and given us a thumbs up. And it, like he's Jordan Travis. Yeah. Like he was Jordan Travis, and he played 2 weeks later. He could have played the following week, but that would have looked even worse. Literally, the whole team gathered around him and prayed. He tweaked his hamstring. Division I athlete. On a stretcher. The whole team gathered around, both teams. And he was available to play, 36 hours later.
Tommy Castellanos completions, Corey.
14 and a half.
Or
no.
attempts.
How about attempts? That's a better one.
Okay.
29 and a half.
Ooh.
They throw the ball a lot, man, on the road, which, might be something they should look into.
All right. There we go. Those are the over-unders. If you need to hear it again, go to warchant.com. Tribal Council will be posted there in a nice, simple Google form for all of you folks to use. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Take advantage of the Black Friday sale going on over for warchant.com. 50% off an annual membership. And yes, you will get an annual membership to The Athletic as well. Do it, everybody. We'll talk to you after we've been in Gainesville. Last time we were in Gainesville, Corey was singing Seminole Wind.
Oh, man.
Who knows what's going to happen this time around, but join us for all the fun over at warchant.com. Pre-game show with Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang. That's 3 p.m. online only. Put that on your calendar. He's Corey Maslin. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. Warchant BOGO, your promo code.